This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, a cruise ship carrying passengers with COVID-19 en route to the Bahamas. Plus, tips from the doctor. The Deputy Chief Medical Officer tells us how to mitigate against the coronavirus spread. And later on, the Prime Minister's reassuring words to Family Islanders.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Knowles. As a cruise ship with 5 cases of COVID-19 makes its way towards the Bahamas, the government is reiterating that the MS BRAEMAR cruise ship will not be allowed to dock at any port in the Bahamas, and no one will be permitted to disembark the vessel. The Ministry of Transport said in a statement yesterday the decision to not allow the ship to dock is based on consideration for the protection of the health and safety of the Bahamian people and residents of the Bahamas. However, the Bahamas government will provide the ship with humanitarian assistance. The United Kingdom issued a diplomatic note requesting clearance for 2 British government personnel to enter the country via air to assist the High Commissioner with ensuring medications reach the MS BRAEMAR. The statement says the personnel will be in the Bahamas for a short period while the ship is refueling, and once complete will leave immediately after. The vessel is scheduled to anchor 25 miles out to sea in the northern Bahamas away from any landmass. Meantime, the Bahamas Maritime Authority has been in constant communication with the owners of the BRAEMAR, which is a Bahamas-flagged ship. Well, the Prime Minister will make a national address tomorrow evening on the coronavirus. Earlier this week, the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 a pandemic. The virus originated in Wuhan, China, late last year and has spread to all continents except Antarctica. To date, there are no confirmed, suspected, or recorded cases here in the Bahamas. According to the Ministry of Health, 4 persons are quarantined and 30 people have been released from quarantine. The Prime Minister's national address airs at 8 p.m. Sunday following our newscast. Well, with more than 153,000 people infected with the coronavirus in 141 countries and territories, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Delon Brennan is equipping the public with tools to mitigate the spread of the virus in the event a case is confirmed here in the Bahamas. Can't get your hands on a bottle of hand sanitizer due to the mad dash for such items? Well, Brennan says washing your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds works just fine.
You know, there's a big run on hand sanitizers and the like, and we're not saying that that's not something that you can use, but good old soap and water works just as well to be able to eliminate those germs from your hands as hand sanitizer does. So wash your hands, 20 seconds. If you want to hum happy birthday, Mary had a little lamb, whatever you want to do in your head, think about it, because 20 seconds, while it sounds short, when you're trying to wash your hands, is a significant amount of time to do so, because we're just not used to doing it for that long. So wash your hands, have good cough etiquette, cough into your elbow. If you see other people who are coughing or sneezing, stay away from them.
Brennan also stressed the importance of staying home from work or school if you're sick.
Do not bring your illness to everyone else, because that's what's
But only if you're sick.
That's right. But notice, if you are sick, stay home. And I think that's
don't stay home to be staying home.
Because if you don't, you end up having these bigger issues where you start spreading it to other people. And I know people are started worried about, it didn't really hit home as much until they started canceling mass gatherings. And when that happened, people were like, oh, I should really take this seriously now.
Though the decision has not been made to cancel mass gatherings in the Bahamas, which has no confirmed cases of coronavirus thus far, Brennan says, be smart.
Because it's not necessarily on our doorstep, this particular illness isn't on our doorstep, yes, we should think and have some pause to these mass gatherings, but it isn't as though we're telling you, as of this very moment, cancel everything, cancel church, cancel school, cancel, any concerts, things like that. What we're saying is, be smart. If you are the one who's sick, stay home. Because if you're the only one who's sick and you don't go to the event, you're not going to spread it to anyone else. Everyone else is safe there.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs putting in place measures at all overseas offices amid the coronavirus pandemic. Officials said in a statement all officers are following the local protocols in place for their various jurisdictions. This includes having in place sanitary and health measures to protect staff and prevent the spread of COVID-19. Staff have also been asked to self-quarantine if they seem to display signs of COVID-19 or have been in contact with anyone who has tested positive. In New York, the Bahamas United Nations Mission, Bahamas Consulate General, and the Bahamas Maritime Authority are closed. The Bahamas Embassy in Geneva will close as of Monday. Both offices are closed until further notice. In other jurisdictions, the physical presence of staff has been significantly reduced, with only essential staff reporting to work and the rest teleworking to ensure the work of the offices. If needed, all offices will be closed and provisions put in place for teleworking. Additionally, in accordance with the national policy in place in the capital, the ministry has suspended all international travel until further notice, both for staff in the overseas offices as well as for staff based in Nassau. Well, in other news this evening, Acting Financial Secretary MARLON Johnson has confirmed that government plans to spend some $3.5 million on the 2020 national census.
That's less than $10 million. I think we probably will end up spending probably close to $3.5 million for the census exercise over the 2 years, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Of that figure, Johnson said $150,000 will be spent for a system to digitize the survey. Department of Statistics Acting Director LEONA Wilson said the department will hire some 1,700 people for this exercise.
Actually, we're going to be hiring about 1,700 persons. Yeah, 1,700 persons. Because remember, it's for the whole country, and so we have 3 levels of persons. We have enumerators. That's the ones who really you're going to be seeing in the field with the tablets, actually collecting data, and then we have field supervisors, which will be supervising these enumerators in the field, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Then we have area managers and then headquarters.
The census will be conducted between September and November of this year. Before the census was digitized, Chief Census Officer Kim Saunders said it took 2 years to process and distribute data. She added that the digitization of the process will result in preliminary data being completed by the end of December.
The census will be conducted during the months of September, October, and November. So by the end of December, it's hoped that we can have some preliminary data. Thereafter, every month or between every month and 2 months, we intend to release data. I think within 6 to 8 months, our aim is to have a full report on the census data.
In news from the crime beat, a man is in hospital nursing gunshot wounds. Police say the man was the passenger in a blue Nissan Note that was traveling east on East Bay Street in the area of Montague Beach shortly before 5 this morning. As the 2 men were driving, the occupants of a burgundy Nissan Cube reportedly opened fire on them, resulted in the passenger being shot. He was taken to hospital where he is listed in stable condition. Police are appealing to members of the public who may have any information that can assist in this investigation to contact the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991 or 2, Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS, or the nearest police station. Meantime, police over on Grand Bahama arresting 2 males in connection to a similar shooting incident. Officers responded to reports of gunshots in the East Sunrise Highway and Somerville Drive area shortly after 9 last night. According to reports, a white Honda Accord with 2 male occupants opened fire on a blue Ford Focus. However, the occupants of the Ford were unharmed. Police would later arrest the 2 suspects of the white Honda Accord. They are expected to be arraigned in the magistrate's court early next week. Grand Bahama Police also arresting a man found in possession of an illegal firearm and ammunition yesterday. Central Detective Unit officers acting on a tip went to Sapadilla Road, Hannah Hill, and 8 Mile Rock, where they uncovered a brown handle .38 revolver with 6 rounds of ammunition. Well, still ahead tonight, the Prime Minister renews his government's commitment to Family Island development. Plus, plans underway for the Bahamas Energy Security Forum. That's coming up when our news returns.
But with Dubs.
Hey.
Speaking of ideas, though.
Ah!
Yeah, solid idea, but.
Here we go again.
Joking, boy.
Murder? That on their passport, so you might even murder.
Hey, what did you start? Just gotta be a blessing, Mike, because ain't nobody that stupid to come here to lose their money. Losing money.
Gina T? On your right nipple, Gina? What it is?
Don't be what to say, store.
Hey, Greasy Brothers, we gotta sing to you. Happy birthday from the Greasy crew. We can buy one down now, and all of us can share it.
I like him. He's funny.
You think that funny? Bum chicky, bum chicky, bum chicky, bum chicky, bum chicky. It's a birthday, bum chicky.
Next tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert MINNIS telling members of the media earlier this week that he has not and will not forget residents in the outer islands. According to the Prime Minister, he will be traveling to each island to get a first-hand response from residents on what they need from the government.
We're in the process of starting the budget, and therefore I want to hear from them what are their five priority items in terms of the budget. Now, they must take into consideration that we were hit by Dorian, and therefore two of our islands in terms of the economic structure was somewhat disturbed. And we're now faced with the world problem with the coronavirus, and therefore our economy may be somewhat depressed. And therefore, even though they may submit 5, we may only be able to do 1 or 2, and therefore prioritize them as to what is number 1, number 2, number 3.
MINNIS said as the new budget is put in place, he will be implementing the requests of residents.
It's the first time in their life and in the history of the Bahamas that I know that a Prime Minister is traveling to each and every island and community and asking them for their input in the national budget. After all, it's their money that we use, though it may be small, it's their money. And I've informed them that I've asked the Minister of Finance to make the necessary adjustments. Just do models. Do models if we have a 10% decrease in our revenue stream. How can we make the adjustments, taking into consideration that we must, at all costs, protect the poor, marginalized.
When our news, the weekend edition, comes back from the break, what you need to know about the upcoming Bahamas Energy Security Forum. Plus, it's Athletic Training Month, so stay with us.
On July 10, 2018, after a disappearance at his own hand, Wally Cooper gained consciousness in a very strange land.
Welcome back to our news, the weekend edition. The Bahamas Chamber of Commerce looking to lead the discussion on energy reform in the country. The Chamber will host an energy forum under the theme Chain Reaction on March 24th at the University of the Bahamas' Harry Seymour Library. Energy Committee Chair Deborah Deal says leaders in the energy sector will share ideas on the way forward for the Bahamas.
It's called Chain Reaction, and a chain reaction is a bunch of events that are all started from the previous one. And it's basically talking about Dorian. last year we had a crazy year. Abaco, before the storm, was having power outages constantly. We were on load shedding, and it's been a crazy year for energy. And then Dorian hit. So Ken Hutton, who is the president of the Bahamas Abaco Chamber, who was there through the storm and has survived the storm and surviving the storm now, will be our keynote speaker, and he's going to talk to what happened and what he sees, the skeletons in the closet, I guess, in a sense, how that the challenges will become opportunities.
Deal says this presents the Bahamas with an opportunity to build more communities rather than just buildings. The forum kicks off at 8:30 a.m. and runs into the afternoon on the 24th. She added renewable energy will also be a hot topic.
We need to do solar and backup batteries so that at the end, after a storm, because we're going to have many more, we can actually be up and running a lot faster. Imagine if you had a rainwater tank and you were in, say, Treasure Key. I'm going to use that as an example. But there's no power to get the water out of the rainwater tank, to bathe, flush your toilets, eat, you know what I mean, cook, all that kind of stuff. We need, if they had a solar pump, then they would be able to do that. So we need to consider all of the options. There's also one company here who sells solar freezers. So you could actually fish and have your solar freezer that has a battery as well, and you could actually be able to eat during a storm.
Deal says the event is open for everyone, and she would love for more university students to get involved and attend.
The prices are based on VAT included, so I'm going to go 60 and 75 plus VAT. 75 for a non-member, 60 for a member. It's going to be from 8:30 to 3. 8 o'clock will be registration, and you can come and have coffee and pastries and that kind of thing. And it's going to be fairly short. We don't want to bore you to death. We want you to come, be excited about what we have to talk about, meet with us, ask questions, and go home excited.
Up next, find out what UB Mingos are doing for Athletic Training Month. That's straight ahead.
On July 10, 2018, after a disappearance at his own hand, Wally Cooper gained consciousness in a very strange land.
Though there are no confirmed cases of the coronavirus locally, its effects are being felt particularly on a number of events. The latest is the launch of the National Volunteer Program, which has now been postponed. The launch was slated to take place on Monday. In a statement, Governor General His Excellency Cornelius Smith said, "In an abundance of caution and in the observance of the necessary protocols relative to this highly contagious disease, we have been professionally advised to delay the launch event, which would have seen a gathering of hundreds of persons, including school-aged children, to the grounds of Government House." The Governor General added, "We are reminded of our obligation in times such as this and seek to encourage responsibility across all sectors." Volunteer Bahamas is the brainchild of the Governor General. It was formed to help coordinate volunteerism efforts across the country by placing volunteers with non-profit organizations. Well, the month of March is recognized as Athletic Training Month, and the theme for 2020 is At Impact, Healthcare Through Action. At the University of the Bahamas, the Athletic Training Unit provides a valuable service to the more than 70 athletes across 12 sports through preparation, training, and rehabilitation. But what exactly is athletic training, and how is it different from strength conditioning among other disciplines?
You're kind of the liaison for the athletes. We help them, we see them on a day-to-day basis. We help with prevention, which is more important. People don't see that aspect of it. Recovery, treatment for injuries. If they are injured, if they do have an injury, then we do their treatment and rehab, help them get back to play sooner. And sometimes there are some injuries that are more chronic that you can help manage so that they can stay in the game.
Well, athletics training is a profession. Manual therapy combined with on-field sideline training for athletes. So we work with athletes in terms of preparation, rehab, and training specific to the sport, specific to the athlete.